I just wanted to explain some things in this video. I was helping a person in town here that owns a custom shop for hot rods. A lot of hot rod clients, their engines are so loud it's almost pointless to do a nice stereo system. However, they still want a stereo system that's still loud enough to where they can hear it when they want to and perform just enough for them to be happy with everything. Most of the time it's just about looks. So in this video, I broke down a few things of how I built the panel. I'm going to probably make another video following this video showing you exactly what everything looks like when it's done. So right now it was just the basic faux front piece panel. I made a sealed enclosure. I showed you how I determine how the enclosure is going to respond. I also built the enclosure and I also wrapped it in basic felt carpet. This is a very basic video. There's nothing too extreme about this. Hopefully it's helpful. I'll break things down as I go through the video and I'll show you exactly the steps I took and the different tools and things I used. I don't get sponsored by anybody. I do have a Patreon. I would appreciate if you're interested. Help me fund some projects in the future. I've been doing this for a long time. There's a lot of guys in the industry who are doing more things with just fabrication. I'm hoping to teach everybody the understanding of all the technicalities of everything for what I do, or what hopefully you'll be doing if you're interested in doing this as a professional. Most vehicles, regardless of how much they cost, it's just a vehicle at the end of the day, guys. You just got to remember to treat it like it's your own. Always make sure that you check yourself so you don't have any belt buckles or anything to scratch the vehicles. If you have to tape up things, do that. Do whatever you need to do to try to protect things. I've actually had a recent experience where I left a door panel on the side of a vehicle. The wind blew it and scratched the door panel. And door panels are anywhere between $500 and $800 and up for vehicles these days. So hopefully your fabrication skills are really good to take care of repairs for something like that. I told the client I didn't personally drop it out of negligence. It was just something that happened that fast, and it does happen. So don't let that kind of stuff discourage you. Hang tight, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Good morning, all my YouTube fans. I'm gonna go ahead and go over some details today on an enclosure that I'm asked to build. Very simple sealed enclosure for a Corvette. It also has a fascia piece. He doesn't want any fancy panel work, and that's because they don't want to pay for it. So you always hear and see about all these cool builds that everyone does, but no one actually tells you if it's being paid for or not, or if it's being sponsored or anything of that nature. Yeah! So, I'm obviously just waking up. I'm pretty tired. I stay up late. It is Vegas, and it's a 24-hour town, so you have the ability to do whatever you want at any hours of the day you want. What? Therefore, I've basically trained myself to be awake late. So anyways, I'm gonna go over a few things with everybody, give you an idea of how you're supposed to shape stuff and get your initial layout and the tools you're gonna need. Now, hopefully I get into more cool stuff, because obviously people are more interested in how things look and not so much as how they sound, but because I'm here trying to teach everybody how to function at a professional level and how to actually do things in the field. We're not always doing mathematics and things. There's kind of rules of thumb that I would like to give everybody, but obviously if you're studying the MECP programs to get you into the industry, these are the things you're going to want to know for the exams, and so you can understand enclosure design and stuff like that. Obviously fabricating is something you're going to learn on your own, and you're going to have to practice, and there's a lot of tricks to save you time without having to cut a piece of wood 100 times and make it fit and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in a second, okay? Alright guys, so here's the software I decided to use about 10 years ago because I started studying for the MECP Master stuff and I wanted to start professionally designing enclosures. So, with that being said, there was a great guy who I got to meet. His name was Rick Paul, and he is someone that introduced me to this program. It's a Basebox Pro 6. It has a lot of built-in woofers, but obviously as the years go by, they're not going to have any updates or anything if you have a purchased software or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the build information for the enclosure. Hopefully this doesn't take very long. Not going to search the database. Okay, these are all your TS parameters. You're gonna want the information, so whatever spec sheets provided by the company or by whoever what subwoofer you're gonna be using, etc. So if you see here, I took a picture of this particular box. I think this is Dynamic Audio, which is a decent brand. You can see it has things in liters, and then in here I obviously use inches and cubic feet. This can be converted if you want, so I'm gonna have to do a whole bunch of conversion information, and we're gonna put this information into the software, and that's going to give us our response for the enclosure, so you can actually understand what the enclosure is doing for you. You're not gonna want to just build an enclosure and hope you have all the information, and I'll tell you why. You need to know how much space this thing takes up from your enclosure. So if your box has to be half a cubic foot, you don't want to have half a cubic foot taken away by the displacement of the actual woofer, and now you don't have 0.5 anymore. Or if you have any bracing inside the box, you want to be able to be accountable for everything, so you know exactly what it will be. So I'm going to try to do some conversions, and then I will show everybody what we get. Okay guys, so we're back. You can see I went ahead and converted everything. I used a software in my phone that I've had for years. It's free from Bosch. You can see it'll do conversions for you. I generally try to do this to refresh myself, because when you take exams, they're going to ask you how to convert a lot of things. As you advance, you're going to need to understand mechanical and electrical parameters for TS parameters when designing enclosures, because this is going to show you what your responses and stuff are going to be. This way you know your general outcome. If you notice in the picture on the information that I have, you'll see this here called come on camera, focus. Damn you. Oh man. Wow. Anyways, I don't know if anybody can see it. It's EBP, efficiency bandwidth product. I'm sorry that my camera won't focus here, guys. Efficiency bandwidth product basically tells you if it should be a closed design or a vented design. And if you notice up here, you'll see that it says closed. It is not an ideal subwoofer to be in a vented enclosure. All the different subwoofers are going to be different as far as what you're going to get for responses and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and hit accept, and then we're going to move on to our enclosure design. We're going to go ahead and select a closed box, and then you'll see here I can start putting in my information. So you're going to need your measurements of the area that you're putting it in, and that's how a custom enclosure is more beneficial than just buying a prefab one, because it'll fit in the area you want the way you need it to fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and then we're gonna move forward into other things, okay? Okay guys, so I'm showing the graph here that is showing you how linear the response is. This is based on a room environment of a 12 dB increase, because generally that's the increase you get inside a vehicle. So if you didn't have the environment on the graph, you'd see this slope off a lot right here, and the vehicle actually picks up a lot of the enclosure design. So that's why it's important to do graphing and stuff like this so you can see what it is. So if I click on room here and I take off this, and you'll see that there's none, I'll change the color, okay, and then you'll see what happens here to your graph, just as an example. We can change it to 12 dB octave rise. Okay, we can change the graph again, and you can see it changes color whenever you make changes to stuff. So this is to give you an idea at 300 watts. I don't know the amplifier that's going to be used. So this gives me an idea of how linear it is, and that's generally what you want from a sealed enclosure. You don't want them to have a bunch of crazy curves, because that means your different levels of sound are going to be different all over the place, and you want it to be equal across what you're listening. And then as you move the cursor here, you can see your dBs increase quite a bit, and you're at about crazy range for subwoofers, which would never be in 1K. So obviously we're going to cross the box over probably to I believe it's 50, 51-ish. So you're looking at about 110 dB plus the environment. So you could be close to about 120 or something like that inside the vehicle. And then if you go to your box design here, you can see the damping. Again, if I change it, I change the color on my plot graph, you can see what it does here. So it'll actually show you what adding polyfill to a box does. I know a lot of people, they talk about putting in polyfill and it's supposed to trick the subwoofer and thinking it's in a bigger box, and this is the change, ladies and gentlemen. It's not very much. So if you think you're making a big difference, it's not really doing a whole lot for you. So again, we'll go back to the box design. You can see what we did here as far as flush mounting or front mounting, and this gives me my whole parts list, and that way we know exactly what we're going to be cutting out. And again, if you go to box design, it shows you what you're doing here with your measurements and what your QTC is. 707 is generally what you want to be. This one's 762. It's a 0.572 cubic foot enclosure. They're asking for 0.6, so I'm going to make some changes here, and you can see that 15 inches gives me that 0.6. So I have a small box design. And then you can see what my F3 is, which was my frequency response at its peak. And you can see that, you know, everything you're getting here, so there's no mysteries. Oh yeah. And then we can change it, and there's our plot change. And then this is a custom amplitude. Normal would be, you know, without, you know, knowing what your amplification is. Group delay, anything with your impedance. So if you have any crazy impedance curves or anything like that, and you start studying more things as you progress, you'll understand the necessity of having like a Zobel network crossover interpreted into your enclosure, so that you know what your impedance is going to change to, so you can keep it flat. That way there's no extreme changes in your charting here. So I hope this explains everything for everybody. I'm going to try to get this whipped out today. It's just a really simple sealed enclosure and a faux piece that goes over to totally hide it. All right. Hey guys, I know the first half of this video was really boring, but it's important to know the science behind designing an enclosure. So make sure you pay attention. That application is Basebox Pro 6. It's something I've had through many years. I honestly don't even know if they've updated or upgraded it from then, but it's very helpful. What's fantastic about that software is you can actually hit the calculate button when you're designing the woofer, and just in case things have been flubbed, and it'll correct things for you, and you get all your response information. It's a fantastic software. It'll guide you in the right direction. The other source that's free that I know of off the top of my head is the12volt.com. They've been around for years, putting out information from vehicle electronic schematics all the way to enclosure design and crossover network design. So I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully part 2 will help you understand that going from the science to putting it into a shop to actually designing it, and we'll go from there. So thanks again for subscribing. Hit the like button if you think it's good. Drop me a comment if you don't, and I'm always open to questions and everything else as far as what I can do to help you guys design stuff for your customers. Alright guys, see you in the next video.